troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide big. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more.
At AmericanExpress.com/with Amex. Don't live life without it. Eligible American Express card required. Benefits vary by card and by venue. Terms apply.
Jump into the excitement at Golden Nugget Hotel and Casinos. Whether you're looking for a romantic getaway, weekend retreat, or just a day of fun, Golden Nugget Hotel and Casinos offer the perfect destination for the ultimate getaway. Experience the excitement of Fremont's Fruit in downtown Las Vegas, breathtaking oceanic views in Atlantic City, or play a round of championship golf in the southern bayous of Louisiana just outside of Houston. Hot action for everyone. Visit GoldenNugget.com to book your getaway today.
We're best known for our dedication to hard work, our obsession with perfection, and our never-ending thirst to improve. Because you can't seize opportunities for greatness if you don't show up every day determined to be the best. So let's go to the fields, the courts, the tracks, and the skies, where success is determined by your willingness to challenge yourself. Delta, keep climbing.
They had so much fun. They're still talking about it.
Well, you know what? I won't forget it either, because your employees are so proud of the product you guys put out, and you can see it in their faces. But here's the story I got the biggest kick out of. Your mom and dad, they made a point to make sure I knew that they're still the only ones that can make constant comment.
That is so true.
Chances are your tires spend most of their time on the road, but you never know when you might need them to handle off-road adventure. So what do? Get the Cooper Discoverer and Duramax with a unique noise-reducing tread pattern and durable tread technology to resist wear and tear. The Cooper and Duramax is a tire made with off-road durability, but designed for on-road driving. Cooper Discoverer and Duramax. Everyday tough. Learn more at CooperTire.com.
Cool. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, I see. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, I see.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs, and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at EquityZoneMortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you, as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 018148868.
Your life.
This is Dr. Laura. If you want some no-nonsense advice, call me.
Your future.
Dave Ramsey here will give you the proven strategies for your life, your money,
your point of view.
It's me, Megan Kelly. Smart, in-depth, fun, sometimes provocative conversations on this show. I'm not going to hold back.
Plus, inspiring views with Glenn Beck. And daily bombshells on crime stories with Nancy Grace. To hear SiriusXM Triumph, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or go to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vini Vini Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. I think my horn got
nuts. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe with the loudest horn. That's what I wanted for Christmas. I wanted a new horn, and this was a lot better. It says, "Let's get ready to rumble." Welcome to the show. Man, I feel good. I tell you what, a great Christmas. Today is beautiful. December 26th, 2023. And back my popular man is beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Everywhere you go, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Everywhere you go. Enough for Christmas. I'm ready for New Year's. We are ready for New Year's. But today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers. Home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit you where the good Lord split you. If that makes sense to you. I want to say what a great day on Big C Sports Podcast. It's actually the day after Christmas, and now we have a countdown to New Year. I'm so grateful to God for this beautiful time of year. A lot of people very happy that Christmas is it's about celebrating the birth of Christ. Even though I don't think anywhere in the Bible where it says Santa's bringing a lot of toys. But sometimes people don't teach about the birth of Christ. It's about opening new toys. And that, to me, it is what it is. Everybody has their own thoughts about it. But at some point in time, I can't find in the Bible where Santa Claus was coming to town. You know how we've taken, I can't say we, but our society, they've made everything for sale. Everything for sale. Even Jesus is up for sale. What? Jesus Christ for sale? Yeah, Jesus Christ got sold for Christmas toys. And there's nothing, I mean, everybody has their own opinion, but when you think about it, America at least has made Christmas so commercialized that you rarely see anything that advertises Jesus Christ. It's about toys and lights and all that stuff. Corey, don't be a party pooper, Big C. I'm not trying to be a party pooper. I'm just saying, could you imagine in another maybe 50 years if we don't change Christmas to make it about the meaning of Christ, the rebirth of Jesus Christ, then people would think that Santa Claus was Jesus. Because kids grow up thinking about Christmas not being the rebirth of Christ, but about Santa Claus. And I don't know if that makes sense to a lot of people, because everybody wants to have joy in their lives. But whatever it is, I'm so grateful to have a very Merry Christmas. Some people don't even say Christmas, they say Happy Holidays. Whatever it is, I want to give it some praise. I want to give it praise. You can follow Big C Sports Podcast on 29 podcast applications all over the universe. And you don't need Santa to pull it around on this thing. You can find Big C Sports at the North Pole, Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, Good Podcast, Amazon Podcast, TuneIn Podcast. You can also follow Big C Sports Podcast on Castbox, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, Podchaser. You can follow Big C Sports Podcast on Geo Savan out of India and Africa, Podtail, YouTube, Hubhopper, Twitter Podcast, Radio Line, Peapod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbay, Verbal Podcast, Podcast Policy, Podcast Republic, and one that used to scare me but now it doesn't is allfees.ai. The robot that's trying to take over. Give that some praise. Hopefully they don't take over everything. You can also follow Big C Sports Podcast streaming OTT on 4 TV platforms all over the universe. Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Give that some praise. I love giving that praise. I also want to make sure that I always pay homage to the Veterans Crisis Hotline, because they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know, anybody going through issues, pick up the phone and call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you want to give it some praise, because ho ho ho, we all need somebody to lean on, especially when people point out to what Christmas is all about. It's not about Santa. It's about the birth of Christ. But that's all I know, and that's how I was raised. I guess that's how I was raised, if that makes sense to you. I want to say what I do with the Big C Sports Podcast. I go, here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. I went to a store, looking for Jesus Christ. And they had some pretty nice gifts. They were nicely packed, and they had boxes and bows and ribbons. And I asked the clerk, I said, excuse me, can you help me find anything about Jesus Christ? And the clerk said, ho, 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 ho. Okay, it's all fair level work. Give me some praise for trying. I gotta have better jokes coming over. I know what I want for Christmas. I want better jokes for the 2024. But in the meantime, I always produce the show. Ho, ho, ho. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives. Ho, ho, ho. And then I'm telling you, the commercials are done. The stats are provided. The storytelling. The play-by-play. Up to the line of scrimmage. Lamar Jackson, 4 wideouts, 5-man front by the Niners. Lamar snaps the ball, pulls it back, rolling to his right, rolling down his right. He turns it up, goes upfield at the 20, the 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Ravens! I think we found out who the MVP of the NFL is. And I'm in Denver Hills, California. But I know what Lamar Jackson did the last night at Levi Stadium. This brother, he signed his own contract, he and his mother. He negotiated it with his mom, Lamar Jackson. And I know Brock Purdy, good player. I think he was exposed last night. If you force him to step up into the pocket against the linebackers that can cover downfield, then, they picked him off 4 times, and then Darnold came in through the last interception, so 5 turnovers. The 49ers also had 100 yards in penalties. But the thing, like the 49ers, they're such a good football team. But you can't have 5 interceptions in a game. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 interceptions. 5. And you gotta credit Baltimore's defense, because they came from sea to shining sea. They just left Jacksonville putting on a beat down, and then they come out to Denver Hills, and I was surprised that they handled the 49ers the way they did. Again, you throw 5 interceptions. The last one was kind of in garbage time, but less than 2 minutes to play with Sam Darnold. But you throw that defense on the football field against anyone. And Shanahan's a great play caller. Maybe they should have run the ball more. But whatever it was, their defense made more plays than the 49ers offense. And you can see it with your own 2 eyes. And then, coming off of the beatdown they just gave Jacksonville, I think Lamar Jackson, which I call Superman was interviewed after the game, and he told the reporter when she asked, what does this statement make about your chances to go to the Super Bowl? Lisa Salters, I believe that's the question. He says it's just a game. It's just one game, and then we have to go on to the next game, which is Miami at home in Baltimore. And the Dolphins, I was looking, and I still have to pick the Dolphins and the 49ers in Super Bowl 58, kind of a rematch of Dan Marino and Joe Montana on the West Coast. But Baltimore, if they knock off Miami, and it won't be a knockoff because they'll be at home and they'll be a favorite. If they beat Miami, and they probably will, then the AFC Championship will most likely go through Baltimore. And if you look at Lamar Jackson, he took his show on the road to Jacksonville. They beat down Jacksonville. And then took a show on the road to Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, San Francisco. And I think the score at halftime was only 16-12. 16-12 at halftime. And then they ended up just pulling away in the second half and won 33-19. But more than that, they shut down the 49ers offense. The 49ers didn't score their last touchdown until Darnold came into the game. They were held scoreless in the second half until less than 2 minutes to play. That's how dominant Baltimore were. And on Christmas, the crowd was nuts. It was like a red wedding that was planned. But this turned out to be a black and purple wedding. So what does it mean for NFL football? I think the 49ers are still the class of the NFC. But when you look at the class of the AFC, can anyone tell me that Baltimore is a team that you rather face in the playoffs? I'm going to talk about it more coming up. But I just thought, what a great game. But I had a birdie in my ear telling me something. And she said this game was going to be won by the Ravens because the real MVP is Lamar Jackson. I said, oh, you can't be serious. She said, oh, yeah, you watch. I said, there's no way that they going to let the good old boys come out to them their hills and get a win. But I was wrong. And again, 5 interceptions. If you don't turn the ball over 5 times, maybe the 49ers win. Look at it this way. They had 5 interceptions, and they only lost by 2 touchdowns. What if they didn't have 5 interceptions? But the thing that impressed me about Baltimore, the 49ers were averaging about 30 points a game, and they didn't score in the second half until there was less than 2 minutes to play. That shows you how good Baltimore, their last drive, they marched 95 yards. And they got a field goal. It was 4th and goal on the 1. I thought Harbaugh could have gone for it. They were up 30-12 at that time. And I thought maybe he would have gone for it and try to push it up to 37-12. If you don't score, the 49ers would have had to drive about 99 yards. And they hadn't scored in the entire second half at that point. So maybe if that were a playoff game or a Super Bowl game, you go for this. When you got Lamar Jackson in the backfield, he's not like your average. He's not like your old Superman. The old Superman, he can only fly. But this Superman, not only can he fly, but he can play. He can play football. Can you imagine? Lamar Jackson is so dominant. Reminds me of Michael Vick back in the day. And Randall Cunningham back in the day. The closest quarterback the 49ers have ever had to Lamar Jackson is Colin Kaepernick. And they got rid of Colin Kaepernick. They blame all their problems on Colin Kaepernick. And then they see a guy who plays like Colin come into Levi Stadium and make them realize they had a guy like that, but they let him go. I'm not saying that Colin can run like that now, but in their prime of it, they didn't build a team around Colin Kaepernick. But what they had in Colin Kaepernick, you saw last night, Lamar Jackson. People say what they want to say about Colin Kaepernick. He still holds the NFL record for the most yards passed for and rushed for in a playoff game. It was at the old Candlestick Park, and they beat the Green Bay Packers. I know the game, it was a playoff game, the NFC Championship game, back in 2013. And I saw that guy again last night, but his name was Lamar Jackson. He's a run-pass option. He's a nightmare for defensive coordinators. If you stack the box, he can roll to the outside and pull it down and keep it. If you step back and try to put 5-man deep in coverage, he can run around and find guys to get open. If they can't get open, then he can always scramble for the first down. But what I love about Lamar Jackson, he can throw left, running left. He can throw right, running right. He can stop back in the pocket, just drop back and throw it downfield. But what he does is he buys a lot of time for his receivers. I saw him make a couple of times 49ers defense play like they were on skates. He's so shifty. And I know mainstream media, they were saying that Brock Purdy's the NFL MVP. But when you watch him in the same arena with Lamar Jackson, he's not even the same kind of athlete, let alone the same kind of player. And I'm not knocking Brock Purdy because he is what he is. He's a consistent passer, but he's not going to scramble and get you a first down. He's not going to run downfield and make 4 or 5 defenders miss and pick up 30 yards in a first down. He's not going to do that. He's a drop back passer that can look. He checks down left, right, middle, and he normally makes the right throws. He's not a big arm where he's going to throw the ball 60 yards downfield, but he's good at dinking and dunking and throwing that 15 to 20-yard pass play. Sometimes he can even go good for 40 yards. But mostly they get the ball to Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield and Deebo Samuel out of the backfield, Brandon Ayuk downfield, George Kittle over the middle. And I thought that was working. It was working until the pick in the end zone. And I thought that gave Baltimore life last night. And I thought it deflated the 49ers. Not making any excuse. These two teams are good enough to see them again in Super Bowl 58. I'm still thinking it's going to be Miami. But Miami, I don't think they're going to beat Baltimore either. If they get there, it would have to be an upset. See, Baltimore's never been to the Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson. This might be the year they get through. Because he is too talented for anyone to stop him. He's just that good. But if the 49ers don't have 5 turnovers, they probably find a way to win that game by a field goal. And no one can tell me any different. 5 interceptions is hurting your team. So if you have they went to Philadelphia. Philadelphia's defense was just as good as Baltimore's, I think. Especially at the time they were playing them. But Jalen Hurts, he's good. But he's no Lamar Jackson. Tua Tagovailoa, he's good. But he's no Lamar Jackson. There's nobody like him. Nobody in the universe is like Superman Jackson. He did it on the road. At Jacksonville, then at San Francisco. And now they have a game coming up against the Miami Dolphins. So, if you have a team that can beat Baltimore, you got to find a way to shut down Lamar Jackson. And I don't know if anyone can. It doesn't mean they're going to go to the Super Bowl. They've been in this spot before, and they find a way to lose those games. But this guy is better. He reminds me of a Colin Kaepernick. Oh, you must be out of your mind, Curry. Colin Kaepernick, I saw him last night in a Ravens uniform. And you got to know something. John Harbaugh, the head coach for the Ravens, he was the head coach for the Ravens when they beat Colin Kaepernick and the 49ers in the Super Bowl down in New Orleans. And you know what he learned about Colin Kaepernick? He said, I need to get a player like him. And he has it in Lamar Jackson. And other teams, they do whatever they can to turn their back on Colin Kaepernick. Because the man said, stop hurting black people. He wanted liberty and justice for all. And then he took a knee, which is what normally people do when they pray. I was seeing Christian McCaffrey last night taking a knee in the end zone. He was in prayer. No one said, oh, he's anti-American. No one said that. But they did that to demonize Colin Kaepernick. And to me, it's just ironic. As much as I love football, to me, I see the irony in a team. I mean, the 49ers have been dominant all year. But when they lost the game with all their players healthy, they lost it to a quarterback that's just like the one they don't want. That's kind of ironic to me. And you would think of teams out there that are trying to make a playoff run and you need a backup player or a quarterback to come on and compete for an opportunity. I think, how did Sam Darnold own a spot with the 49ers and Colin Kaepernick did not? I know Sam Darnold played at USC. He was drafted by Carolina Panthers. But Colin Kaepernick, when he was at Nevada, he's only the 4th player in the history of NCAA college football, Power 5 schools, that passed for over 10,000 yards and rushed for over 4,000. You can't make those numbers up. Sam Darnold did not do that at USC. Sam Darnold is playing in a 49er uniform, and Colin Kaepernick is not. But you just see, if you're the 49ers, they've gone through the Jimmy Garoppolo phase, and now they're looking at Brock Purdy, who's good. But you got to be honest with yourself. If you are trying to get to that next level, and you want a guy that can channel his touchdown Patrick Mahomes, you see it in Lamar Jackson. Some people might say Josh Allen. Josh Allen is no Lamar Jackson. He's not. Joe Burrow is no Lamar Jackson. I know these guys are good players. They're good athletes. But there's only one Lamar Jackson, and he looked like Colin Kaepernick last night that can't get a job in the NFL. Not even a tryout. That tells you how much enmity people have for a black man saying, please quit killing black folks. And let's believe in liberty and justice for all. You would have to be, and I know the 49er ownership, they know. They got to be saying, my goodness, we had that guy. We had him. They had him in their own uniform. And they demonized him. They said, oh, he's anti-military. Because they bought into that white narrative. Let's destroy this black man. Let's destroy him! And they tried to do that, but that same man came back and destroyed them last night. Lamar Jackson's the only reason the 49ers did not get a win last night. Even with 5 interceptions by the 49ers, they still had a chance. But there's no way to duplicate what Lamar Jackson did last night. I just want to give that brother some praise because he's never been a media favorite. They were saying that Christian McCaffrey might be the MVP. They were saying that Brock Purdy may be the MVP on the same team. But the guy that really is the MVP in the league, unless they rob him, is a guy that looks like the guy they would not give an opportunity to is Colin Kaepernick. Imagine when Colin Kaepernick played for the 49ers, his favorite go-to guy was Crabtree. Michael Crabtree, that was his favorite go-to guy. And they brought in Randy Moss for a moment, but he was at the backside of his career. But imagine if you had a Colin Kaepernick that's like Lamar Jackson. You got Deebo Samuel. You got Brandon Ayuk. You got Jennings. You got McCaffrey in the backfield and Kittle. And I know the 49er brass, they'll never say it. They'll say, oh, he's washed up. They were saying that Lamar Jackson couldn't throw the ball. If he's so washed up, why is he the only quarterback in the history of the NFL to have a record for rushing and passing in an NBC or NFL championship game in the NFC at Candlestick Park against Green Bay? You can Google that. That's the same guy that won't even give a job. Why are you talking about the past, Curry? I'm talking about it because he's still a young man. You know, Colin Kaepernick is a younger man than Tom Brady was his last 3 years in the league. He's a younger man. And you know who knows that? Coach Harbaugh for the Baltimore Ravens. He went out and got a guy that looks like the guy that they couldn't handle Colin Kaepernick. And they have him. His name is Lamar Jackson. Why aren't there more guys like him in the league? There are guys who try to be like him. But you know, the media's going to try to jump on them. Well, he kind of throws a sidearm pass. Well, you know, he's never won an AFC championship game. Well, you know, he's had opportunities to do what people thought he would have done already. It takes time. You know, as great as Aaron Rodgers is, he's only been to 1 Super Bowl. And he's played nearly 20 years in the league. That's only 1 Super Bowl more than Lamar Jackson. And there's still people saying, well, if they could get Aaron Rodgers to come back for the Jets will have a chance to make the playoffs. No, not now. They're not saying that. I'm just saying what you saw last night is incredible, and I want to give that brother some praise. And his mama signed his contract. I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting BAC Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. God said that. And then he said, let there be light. Just like Lamar Jackson was like lightning last night in Levi Stadium in Denver, California. I tell you, as much as I love sports, today a little bit different because I had so much gumbo. I had the best gumbo in the history of the universe. I want to give it some praise. I was having gumbo for breakfast watching dinner, and I feel like it's so good. It's the only time I can eat gumbo without using a utensil to crack the rib or to crack the shell. It was cooked so perfectly. It was cooked to perfection. You could crack the shell with your fingers. It is so good. And I'm just so grateful. I want to give that some praise. If that makes sense to you, give that some praise. I want to also give praise. Oh my God, I just had another thing. You see, when you're doing the right thing and God rewards you with opportunity and favor, I want to give praise to the California Reparations Task Force because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I want to thank the chairperson, Camila Moore. She's brilliant. Love giving her praise. and she's an attorney that specializes in reparative justice. I want to give Dr. Amy C. Brown some praise. He's brilliant. I love just giving praise to people. I want to give the praise to the number one senator in the United States of America, California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. Why you give him praise, Big C? Because he also sponsored name, image, and likeness for the college football players to get paid. And he also helped sponsor the Ebony Alert, which helps find young black children when they go missing, like the Amber Alert helps find young white children with resources dedicated to that. And he's also part of the California Reparations Task Force because he knows a mind is a terrible thing to waste. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Council Member Monica Montgomery Stephanie. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. Love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Michelle Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, also a professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Attorney Donald K. Tamaki. He's brilliant. Part of the California Reparations Task Force. As a Japanese American, his family already received reparations, and I want to give that praise. I want to thank This Is CNN and proud sponsors of Big C Sports Podcast. I want to thank Disneyland Resorts, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. And I want to thank Double O, part of the payout committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. She sent me Executive Order 13985 on further advancing racial equity. You know, the reason Colin Kaepernick can't get a job in the NFL. On further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. That's the White House. Double O said that to me. You know, that's why Colin Kaepernick, when he talked about that, they said he was anti-American because he was advocating for the same thing President Biden's advocating for, racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. Colin Kaepernick talked about that, and it cost him his job because some crooked white people did not want to hear about equality, and not coming from the mouth of a black man. When John F. Kennedy said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." And when Colin Kaepernick said, "We want racial equity," NFL didn't like that because he was praying to God. They didn't want men to pray. They said he was anti-American. Who said that? That was crooked white people that did that. Not all white people are crooked, but the media was owned by white folks, and they all colluded into to get them out of the league. And then in Denver Hills, California last night, a man who played just like Colin, the 49ers had no answer for him. Maybe they'll find a way to say he's anti-American. That'll get Lamar Jackson out of the league too. I want to give some praise to Georgetown University because they also, in some people's eyes, are anti-American because they pledged over $1 billion to descendants of child of slavery, 272 families. They helped pay off debt for Georgetown. They were selling black people, men, women, and children. And then they call a black man saying we need equality for all, anti-American. But Georgetown University was selling black bodies to pay off their debts. And they've never been called an anti-American institution. Not by TV members, but let one black man do that, and they get him out of the league. I know some NFL football players and white guys were telling me, man, Big C, I think Colin's making a big mistake, taking a knee and praying and saying we want liberty and justice for all. He's gonna lose his job. I said, what kind of corrupt people would not want a man that, number one, prays and believes in God? What kind of crooked people would want to ostracize a man that wants liberty and justice for all? What kind of people would do that? And he said, white people. He's a white man that told me that. I said, why are you saying that? You're white. He said, I know, but I'm telling you what people talk about behind closed doors. And he was right. I told him, no, I think people are more decent than that. And he has 2 Super Bowl rings. I'm not going to say his name. But he said what white people talk about behind closed doors. And but then a short period of time, all the media picked up that same narrative. Oh, he's anti-military. He should be kicked out of the game. I don't want a guy like that on my football team. And a white man told me that behind closed doors, some crooked white people were going to collude to get Colin out of the league. I said, for wanting liberty and justice for all? He said, yeah. I said, I don't believe that. He said, you don't hear things that go on behind closed doors the way I do. He's a white dude. And he was right. I had to eat a lot of crow. I said, but what about the white people that smile on your face and say, I love you, brother. God bless you, brother. Go win the game, brother. Let's go. He said, I'm going to tell you, Big C, white people don't want to hear about equality for black folks. You could be a black man with a PhD, and some white people will hate you. Oh, you must be an uppity N-word. If you're just meandering through life trying to get by, then they'll love you as long as you have a uniform on. But this man, Colin Kaepernick was so gifted, and still is. He opined what the NFL put on the back of the end zone, which is called end racism. And that's what he was trying to do, and it cost him his job. But then they took his slogan and they put it on the back of the end zone, end racism. And then what Colin Kaepernick called for is it takes all of us, black and white, and they even put that on the back of the opposite end zone. So why did they fire the man that started it? And the white man told me, because a lot of white people, they don't want to see black men bringing people together. They don't want to see black people united. I said, oh man, I don't believe that. Not all. He said, listen up, Big C, I'm telling you. And he was right. I was wrong. I thought I knew white people better than a white man who has access to that good old boy network. I'm not going to say his name, but he was honest. And almost anywhere you see society trying to get a black man out of the lives of his children, it's usually a white person behind it. The white man told me that, so did the Willie Lynch letter. And when I saw what Lamar Jackson did last night, the 49ers, they already had that kind of player. In one of the most diverse regions in the United States, which is the Bay Area, it's becoming more and more gentrified. But that end racism on the back of the end zone, it takes all of us on the opposite end zone. And the 49ers fired a man who embodied that, epitomized it. And the mainstream Bay Area white media, I can hear him on radio all the time and TV. Well, don't you think he's anti-American? He's on his knee. He won't stand up to the national anthem. And all he said was stop killing black people. He wanted liberty and justice for everybody. And that cost a black man his job. But he was just shucking and jiving and talking about rapping and how many women can you smash? I'm going to smash them all over the East Coast, West Coast, North and South. Smashing everybody. They put him on TV and want him to perform during the Super Bowl. As long as you talk about anti-behavior that's going to bring black folks together, they'll love you. They'll put you on TV. They'll make you the big rap. They'll make you number one. You got the number one record. Yada, 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 yada. Shucking and jiving. And a white man told me that white people are going to hate a black man that tries to unite black folks, and white folks too. And I told him he was wrong. But he told me, Dr. King, he was on the J. Edgar Hoover hate list. They call him anti-American because he said, I have a dream. And he tried to bring people together. And Dr. Martin Luther King said the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And Dr. King was more loved after he was assassinated. It's a shame because so many people admire Dr. King. Billy Graham, a white man, admired Dr. King so much he got him out of jail, and he went to jail because he was protesting for equality. And when a white man said, "Oh, Big C, you don't understand. They're gonna smile on your face. They're gonna tell you they love your brother when you got a uniform on." I met over the holidays good-looking black man, about 30 years old, about 6'9". I said, "Brother, you look like you played for the Kings. Merry Christmas to you." He said, "I used to play for the Kings." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "What are you doing now?" He said, just trying to find work. All those people that loved him and pat him on the back, told him how great he was, when he couldn't make the team anymore, they didn't call him and say, "We got a job for you. Hey, just come work with us. Come work at our front office. You're obviously good enough to play NBA basketball. You shouldn't be out looking for work." But he's a black man. If he were white, he'd be on someone's coaching staff someplace. Even if he's just an administrative support liaison. But he's unemployed black man. 6'9", great shape, but there's only so many jobs. You got musical chairs. There's a million guys trying to play NBA basketball. There's only like 400 jobs. He even played over in Europe. But now he's just trying to find work. You mean these NBA owners that had you come and run around the court for them? They won't even call you and say, what do you want to do? Come work for the organization. We'll find a job for you. They do it for white people all the time. There's a lot of white men that work on the coaching staffs that never played the game. Not past college. Some of them not past high school. But they got a job paying 6 figures. But this good-looking young black man, he's out there looking for work. And he's not even 30. Anyway, give me some praise. I'm just speaking real. I want to thank Rebel O, part of the National Black Wall Street Path Committee, sent me an article from the United Nations, said that strong leadership and political will are crucial to ensure reparatory justice for people of African descent. I want to thank T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I want to thank PNC Private Bank, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I want $6 billion! And I want it now. You know, you can Google Freedman's Bank, so many things I want to get onto, but I'm so full of crap. I'm so full of crap! I want some more. I want some more, Eddie. I gotta tell you what I saw. The game, it was a great game last night. And people love games. But before I even get in that, I just gave praise to the California Reparations Task Force. I'll get into the sports too. But I want to tell you what I saw. Because Big C Sports is so factual, I want to make sure, you know, there are times if you talk about something and it doesn't come true, then people might say, oh, you're just full of crap. But I looked at NBC News. It says it was March 30th, 2023. It said about Big C Sports. Charlton Curry of Denver Hill, California, talks about reparations on his Big C Sports podcast and says that cash payments are necessary. That's NBC News! Back in 2023, March 30th, 29th and 30th. Guess what I saw today as I was looking at the news? On NBC News, it says reparations gained historic momentum in 2023 because of California's efforts. For the Golden State, what's next? It says turning all the recommendations from its statewide task force into policies and persuading voters to pay for it all. Don't fall for the okie doke. This money is already set aside. There's nothing to pay for. They've been giving it to everybody. Did they have the voters pay for the $100 billion that the Ukraine got? No. They're sending money all over the world. They're not saying, well, we got to get the voters to vote for it. Yes. That money is already sitting there. President Obama used some. President Bush used some. President Trump used some. President Biden used some. But they talk about people at the California Reparations Task Force meeting. There was one in Los Angeles, September 22nd. In 2022, they talked about. But this article came out December 26, 2023 by Curtis Bunn. This is NBC News. For the first time this year, advocates seeking reparations for the harms inflicted on black Americans during centuries of slavery in America saw a movement for redress that elicits hope. Many municipalities either started or are forming commissions to address compensation to the descendants of enslaved Africans. I just told you, New York City Governor Hochul, just this month, made a breaking announcement that New York State is forming a reparations task force. There's nothing to study. President Abraham Lincoln already passed reparations. It says California has made the most zealous effort. The state's reparations task force that is only mentioned on Big C Sports Podcast every time I do a show, Monday through Friday. The state's reparations task force spent 2 years researching the impact of the generational damage of the discriminatory practices and produced an 1,100-page report with comprehensive recommendations that it considers to be the blueprint for other cities and states and the federal government to follow. It says the blockbuster file includes a method to calculate financial compensation for those eligible for redress. More than 400 organizations have signed on to support reparations. Give that some praise! 400 and counting. More than 400 organizations have signed on to support reparations in the country's most populous state. You got to think about that. New York recently enacted a commission to study the effects of slavery there. California's push represents a major swing in the decades-long fight for reparations. Yet Californians are looking ahead to the next year to see if any of those recommendations will actually come to fruition. And if there's enough political will to make it happen, the same will that they have to make sure that descendants of the Holocaust get paid. That will! And it says that white opposition is significant. Why would white people, unless they're just the dumbest people on the planet, why would they oppose reparations for descendants of chattel slavery when we have reparations already being paid out to descendants of Holocaust? Native Americans, reparations, Japanese Americans that were interned in internment camps. What's there to be up? What are you opposing? Where do they find those people? I oppose reparations. They should have opposed the Homestead Act being given to white people. No white people. They can't find one white person on the planet or in the United States that opposes when the United States government, that same government that's considering reparations, they can't find one. From the smartest to the dumbest that wants to give back all that land that was given, over 276 million acres of land that the United States government gave white people, and even white Europeans called the Homestead Act in 1863. They can't find one! Land is worth money. And now they find some dumb people that say, well, I oppose to reparations. No, give the land that was given to white people and give it all to black Americans. Give it all! Because they didn't oppose it when it was given to them. But it says opposition is significant. California's effort surpasses those at the federal government. And while many cities and states are creating reparation committees, they're far from getting money into people's pockets. Not to the descendants of chattel slavery. They get paid as we are breathing. Are Native Americans getting paid? They're not having money getting money and land in their pockets. They didn't have a problem getting money to Japanese Americans' pockets that were interned in internment camp. It says there's the underlying reticence of a significant part of the population. What part? Give me a name! It says public opinion, meanwhile, meaning that white people and white politicians are not sympathetic to our plight and how it is tied to slavery. Not all white people. I just told you, the governor of New York, she's a white lady. The governor of California, he's a white man. So you can't say that white people are anti-reparations. But media will tell you the same way they got Colin Kaepernick fired. Oh, he's anti-American. What's more anti-American than not paying people for their labor? Let me say that one more time in case you were too busy watching the game. What's more anti-American than not paying people for their labor? People go on strike because they want a $2 raise. Hollywood, auto workers, all of them. It says in 2022, Pew Research poll said that this is why you know the media is screwed up. It says a research poll from the Pew Research Center, the poll said that 77% of black adults believe descendants of enslaved Africans in the United States should receive reparations in some way. Only 77%? What person doesn't believe they should get paid for their efforts? Because you would have to be so dumb if you don't know the Homestead Act, that white people got land given to them for free. Even white Europeans got land given to them for free by the same United States government. Now they say they found some black Americans that don't believe they should get anything that their ancestors worked for. How in the world does that make sense? They can't find any white person that gave back the land that was given to them by the federal government. They can't find one! But they say in this Pew Research they found 23% of black people don't believe they should get anything. I don't think there's that many dumb people on the planet. Not in the United States. They can't find one white person that chases their ancestry back to the Homestead Act that gave them over 276 million acres. Not one wants to give that money back. Not one! It says only 18% of white respondents agreed that black Americans should get reparations. You're going to tell me they can't find one white person in the United States that believe that the federal government that gave them the land grab, called the Homestead Act, they can't find one, not even 1%, one that believes they should give that money back and that land back that they've gotten loans on, they've raised livestock on it, they farmed on it, they built housing on it, they sold it for profit. They can't find one that wants to give back what was illegally gotten, that black Americans could not even participate. They can't find one. But now they're saying only 18% of white people believe that black Americans should get the same benefit that they got. Why in the hell you need their opinion? White societies benefited from slavery and discrimination for centuries. But they can't tolerate the idea that our families for generations have been impacted by this. If it's okay for white people to benefit, it's okay for black people to benefit. It's not about asking a white person if black Americans should be compensated for money that was stolen from us. It's not up to them. President Lincoln already gave it to us. And when he was assassinated, President Andrew Johnson, he vetoed that bill and gave it back to white people, the Southern Confederates. Now, they can't find one descendant that says, you know what, we were illegally enriched. We got somebody else's gift! They can't find that person. They can't. Like the thing with Colin Kaepernick. Oh, that's anti-American to give those black people something that we got for free. Can't we just watch the game? Can we just light the beam? Light the beam! Light the beam! You got people so dumb, they want to light a beam as opposed to the understanding that reparations are due. Well, that's my story and I'm sticking with it. There's so much. I just want to say, I want to give Big C Sports some praise. I said, give me some praise! Because I'm the only sports show in the universe! Talks about this day and night on every show. And it's coming to the fruition now. It's coming into fruition. And I thank all the lawyers, the lobbyists, and the citizens that have pushed for reparations because they're not so drunk on light the beam! Light the beam! Light the beam! We're waiting for our check. And it's going to happen before the next election. And people know that. So, I got to get into this because it's more important than who won a game. The committee's report lays out 112 recommendations that includes programs around housing, education, and public health, among many others. The California Legislative Black Caucus that will be meeting with Big C Sports has hired a team of experts to whittle down the massive report to a digestible length. That condensed report will be shared with the public and the California Assembly, which will have to vote on bills based on the recommendations. We hear about 40 acres and a mule. It won't cut it anymore. What the fight for reparations looks like is black Americans have been fighting for reparations tied to slavery for generations. And when you understand H.R. 40 has over 172 co-sponsors, in that AB 3121 has more than that. They got 400 people that have signed on to it. And it's growing. The only people that don't want reparations in this country, like my white friend told me, are people who are descendants of the Ku Klux Klan and the Southern Confederates. Why in the hell are we asking them if we should get what was rightfully ours? Because they had offspring too. Some of their parents, they listened to Teddy Pendergrass when he said, turn off the lights and light a candle. You see, there's something I've been wanting to do to you, baby. Turn them off! And when stupid people turn off the lights, sometimes they had babies. They didn't have cable. What else could you do? But don't tell me we got to ask the Southern Confederates or the Ku Klux Klan if descendants of child slavery should get reparations. That's like asking the robber, should you give the property back to the place you just robbed? They have these places called smash and grabs that's going on all over the country. What's a smash and grab, Big C? A smash and grab is when you take something that don't belong to you. And these stores are saying we need more security so we can protect what's ours. Most of these stores are owned by white people. And you tell me those same white people say we're not supposed to, as a country, honor what was stolen from black people? Well, why would you ask the Ku Klux Klan or the Southern Confederate for what they stole? This is getting so deep in 2024. You gonna tell me that Big C Sports is not the #1 sports show in the universe? You gotta give me some praise. Even politicians are talking about what Big C Sports is talking about. They're not talking about touchdown, home run, 3-point play. Old man Willie, he's going all the way. They're talking about something that's real. That every black person, if you don't get behind reparations now and reparations forever, shame on you. Joan Sawyer said the group plans to ultimately create and present 12 bills that will cover the report's recommendations. He said the first of 5 bills will be introduced at the start of 2024. It will span about every category in the report, whether it's racial terror, education, the criminal justice system, incarceration rates, home ownership, the wealth gap, which is $14 trillion. Which could be traced back to the money that was robbed from black Americans during slavery. The white people got that money. Are they trying to give it back? So I got so much to talk about. I don't have enough time, but you can get into it tomorrow. But it says, I'll finish with this. The California Senate is made up of 80% Democrats, which could be a positive for those bills. Governor Gavin Newsom has expressed support for reparations efforts, just like Big C Sports talks about. He said in September he made a point of emphasizing that reparations in the form of cash payments may not be the recourse. He's wrong! If Governor Gavin Newsom thinks that reparations mean don't give the black people any money, just give them something to make them think that we're doing something, then you're not going to get elected either. We want the same thing white people got. Give us our money back! Don't fall for the okey-doke when people say, oh, they don't need money. Just leave a song, say lift every voice and sing. That's what they want. Just let them light the beam! Light the beam! Light the beam! Turn it off! And don't light it until we pass reparations. Dealing with the legacy is about much more than cash payments. But don't get it twisted. Cash payments are necessary. Give that some praise. It's got to happen because even white people are talking about it. I'm just telling you, get rid of cynical people. There are people that were saying, oh, it's never going to happen. You're not allowed into the conversation. Get out! I only want to talk to people who are learned enough to talk about it. And I got so much to talk about it, I got to get into it more late because they said that my show's on. I want to say, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink because mothers against drunk drivers are mad and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber, you can call Lyft, you can walk it off, you can sleep it off. But don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car after they've been drinking because the life you saved may be your own or someone you love. That's my story and I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you on every Big C Sports show, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day. Wait a minute, Big C, you didn't say You didn't pay homage to Drew Boudini Brown. Oh, that's right. I want to say back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble. With all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali would say, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat, because every time I listen to Big C Sports, it makes me want to say, reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. My beautiful mother always says, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to deal with that garbage on their own. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, pick up the phone and call 911. Because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go to that crap on their own. That's my story, and I'm taking with it. Well, Big C, you didn't pay homage to President Abraham Lincoln. Oh, that's right. What did President Abraham Lincoln tell us to do? Especially President Joe Biden and all the governors. Stop studying what he's already passed. It's in the lost and found. Just give to black Americans what was given to white people. That's not that hard to do, is it? Mixed with the eighth wonder of the world, compound interest, according to Einstein. We're due. What's ours? It was earned. Black labor, white wealth. Dr. Claude Anderson, Google it. Black labor led to white wealth. What if white labor led to black wealth? And you're going to tell me you're going to interview someone that says, we don't want to get back what we smashed and grabbed in the mall. We found it legally. They were smashing and grabbing with black Americans before they smashed and grabbed in malls. Now they got security around the mall so you can't smash and grab, or they're trying to put these gates behind in the mall so you can't smash and grab. You got to go through the gate first. You got to be buzzed in. What did President Abraham Lincoln say? He said, reparations now, reparations forever. Come on, Big C. What did President Abraham Lincoln say? He said, tell President Biden and all these governors around the country to pass reparations now, pass reparations forever. Come on, Big C. See it like your team just won the championship game. What did President Abraham, listen up, voters, when you go to the polls, no reparations, no vote. President Abraham Lincoln told you. He said, reparations now, reparations forever. I thank you. I appreciate you. I hope that you have a super fantastic day.